Focus at this hour, a South Korean delegation is headed to Iran to seek the early release of an oil tanker that was seized earlier by Tehran this week. Seoul has been seeking the release of the South Korea flagged ship and its crew. The South Korean delegation is being led by the Director General of the Foreign Ministry's Middle Eastern Affairs Department. Iran's seizure of the tanker came after Tehran had urged Seoul to release billions of dollars of Iranian assets frozen in South Korea under US sanctions. However, Tehran has denied these allegations that it is holding the ship and its crew hostage in order to pressurize South Korea to release $7 billion in funds. It is important to note that Iran was a key oil supplier to resource-poor South Korea until Washington's rules blocked the purchases. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard said that the tanker violated the environmental laws. Meanwhile, in a separate visit, the South Korean Vice Foreign Minister is due to travel to Tehran next week to discuss the issue of foreign assets, that is, the frozen assets. Seoul said that the visit is not related to the ship's seizure for now. Adnan Tabatabai, a political analyst on Iran's affairs, joins us from Germany now. Adnan, welcome to WION World is One. Tell us more about the visit of the South Korean delegation to Tehran and what do they hope to achieve?
In general, this visit would have been important in any respect because for Iran it's obviously important to try and improve relations with Eastern powers such as South Korea. And it comes in a particular time. Obviously, you already hinted to it. We have this incident with the Korean flagged tanker. And even if it wasn't for the reason to pressure Seoul on the frozen assets, it's obviously now a side effect of that incident. We don't clearly know. You already said Iran rejects the claim that it is linked to the frozen assets, but we now have to see both incidents in the same light.
Right. That actually brings me to my next question. Now, Iran has insisted that it is not holding the tanker or its crew hostage in light of US sanctions, which of course play a crucial role in the story. So how true is this, and will South Korea be coerced into releasing the frozen assets?
You know, this issue about sanctions and compliance to it is really complicated because these secondary sanctions of the US that also are pressuring Seoul and others to freeze Iranian assets are in fact against international law, are against UN Security Council Resolution 2231. So when Iran then adopts measures that seemingly are linked to an aim to pressure South Korea into releasing those assets, we have to really see that on the one hand, seizing a tanker might not be a right thing to do, but the Iranians would ultimately, if they admitted that it was linked to the assets, say that this is in response to South Korea unrightfully freezing the assets of Iran. So it's extremely difficult in times of sanctions to really make sense of how to unpack this situation. And for that, it's really good that we're seeing a South Korean delegation heading to Tehran.
Right. My final question, a new president, of course, will be taking charge of the White House come January 20th. With Joe Biden coming in, do you see the change in policy towards Iran when it comes to the US? And will these sanctions be lifted?
There's at least a chance for it. The team around Joe Biden himself, had been deeply involved in designing and accomplishing the nuclear agreement. There is an appetite in this team to restore the JCPOA. And the team around Biden knows the Iranian counterparts, and the Iranian counterparts know the Biden team. So there is a chance that they find a way back to the JCPOA, and that would definitely mean lifting sanctions.
Right. All right, Adnan, thank you so much for joining us on WION World is One on this broadcast.